What's up everyone and welcome back to another PoE economics video. So today we're crafting either of two gloves. You can see we've got the Siren Scale gloves as well as the Vaal gloves. Now the only difference between these two is that they have a slightly different base energy shield, but essentially these gloves are Temporalis Autbomber gloves. So anyone that's running a Temporalis Autbomber will likely need these gloves. Right here, you can see we have 34 increased critical damage bonus, as well as 60% increased effect of socketed items, and a ton of energy shield and mana or life. Now I want to utilize the new craft section on PoEconomics.com. You can see it says tier 2 guide right here, but that is just tier gated until the video is also released for the public, since we have early releases for tiered members. If you're considering a membership, or if you are already a YouTube member, you have to consider that this only counts for people who have bought the membership through the site. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and go to the site. Don't subscribe to YouTube. They take around 50% of all the revenue, and so the membership on the site gives you a bunch more benefits, as well as being a bit cheaper, and I also get more money at the end. Other people can also publish guides right here. I am excited what you guys come up with, or if there's even anyone that's interested in this, because it's fairly complicated, I'll admit that, but it helps a lot in understanding these crafts. Now, the first step of this craft is, of course, the base. You can either buy a blue base or you can buy a normal base. And just to show you the price difference between the Siren Scale as well as the Vaal gloves. So these gloves need to be normal, 2 augmented with sockets, and uncorrupted and fractured. Now you can see these go for around 19 divines each. If we search for the Siren Scale gloves of this caliber, we're already looking at 333 divines. But as you just saw, the price difference in the end result is a few thousand divines. So if you don't want to cheap out with the bases, you can actually try and buy these and craft them on these, but it costs you a lot more divines initially. Now, let's also search for the magic variants, because it doesn't matter if the gloves are magic or normal. And we can see for both the Vaal gloves as well as the Siren Scale gloves, the magic variants are a bit more expensive. So you can buy either magic or normal, it doesn't matter. It just cannot be corrupted or fractured. Now, after we've bought all of these gloves, the next step is going to be either making them magic, of course, because we're trying to get modifiers on it. So you would, if you had bought normal gloves, you would do this step, where you basically use an orb of transmutation and then you make them magic, right? So if the gloves are already magic, we're going to try this step right here, and I'll show it to you in game because that's fairly easier to understand. Now we're trying to craft these bases right here. You can see I have quite a lot of them, and all of these are supposed to be tier 1 energy shield as well as tier 1 critical damage bonus. What type of energy shield, either flat or increased, doesn't really matter. You just want energy shield tier 1 and as high of a roll as possible. Now to get these gloves, what we're going to do is, you can see I have a separated craft tab right here for ease of comfort, is we're going to null and augment spam. Now you can see we've hit the maximum energy shield right away, and we're going to then try to hit the second modifier, which will be critical damage bonus, and we're going to annul if we don't hit it. And what I can recommend is always going for one modifier first. Don't spam 2 on it, because if you have the first modifier and it already didn't hit, you're just wasting partially more annuls by annulling again, right? Because your chances are lower automatically because you didn't hit the first one. But either is fine. You just want to prepare these bases and get them to exactly this state. Now, the next step is going to be either success, of course, and failure. You can see if we go to failure, it just says we're supposed to annul it, right? So if we have this kind of combination that you can see on these gloves right here, what we want to do is we want to, of course, click on success. And then we want to use the greater essence of opulence to get tier 1 rarity and make the item rare. tier 1 rarity is always going to be a suffix. Now that we've got tier 1 rarity, what we're going to use is a preserved rib and an omen of sinistral necromancy. And you can likely already see where we're going with this. If you have some experience with crafting, you know what comes next. And I will buy it right away because I don't want to go back and forth too many times. It is 8 fracturing orbs. Now what we'll do first is we will of course activate our omen of sinistral necromancy, get our preserved rib, and we want only prefix desecrates on this. Okay, so now that we've got 4 modifiers, we can actually fracture these claws, but let's do it step by step. So we are following this. We've desecrated the prefix, and now we're going to use the orb of fracture, and we're trying to desecrate the flat ES or increased ES. So with the desecrate, we basically have a 1 in 3 chance on hitting this. If you don't hit, don't be too sad, because you can still sell these gloves for a significant price, since there's a way on crafting on these gloves nonetheless, even if it hits something like critical damage bonus or even rarity, though these paths are not so explored yet, at least for me personally, and so I don't want to show you something that might not work or might not turn a profit. So let's just fracture. And if we get ES, we're going to continue the craft. If we don't, we're going to sell the gloves. So let's just do it. Let's just fracture all of these and then separate the ones that we actually want. So we're going to filter for all of the ES ones. So we've got around half, which isn't too bad. But the next step after we've got flat ES or increased ES is to proceed and reveal the desecrate. Let's reveal this modifier. It doesn't matter what we're going to get here, so we can just pick anything. So now that we've revealed the modifier, we're going to go back to our hideout and we'll be doing the next step. So what we're going to do now is basically use the sinister crystallization with the essence of horror to get the increased effect of socketed items, and it will remove the desecrate while it's added. Okay, so make sure to activate the omen of sinistral crystallization and to then use the essence of horror. We don't want to use it without it, and then use it on the items. So you can see it just removed the modifier. Now the next step is going to be to slam the first prefix with a perfect exalted orb. We're trying to get either flat ES, increased ES, or ES hybrid with life. Okay, so you can see we've actually just hit one of those, and this is tier 2 as well, so we also want to get rid of it. So what we're going to do is repair the bad prefix with an omen of sinister crystallization, as well as the essence of abyss. Let's make sure to activate the omen of sinister crystallization again, and then use the essence of abyss to basically get rid of the prefix modifier that we don't want there. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to just use the preserved rib, and we're going to basically desecrate all of these. So you can see that because we have the mark of the Abyssal Lord, it's going to put them on there like that. And then we use the Omen of Light. First reveal on the well. You can reasonably skip some of the next steps and modify the craft a bit, though I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend to just stick by the plan and just use an Omen of Light regardless, and just try to hit something this way, even though it might be slightly more expensive. Now what we'll do is we'll activate it, and then we'll remove the desecrated modifier from all of these items. And what we'll do next is we will just simply use the perfect exalted orb again and try to hit the modifier that we want. And you can see we didn't get anything on these 4. So guess what we'll be doing? We'll be doing the same thing again. Okay, so we've got tier 1 ES with maximum life. So we'll be using an ancient rib now, since that is way cheaper than anything else, with a Omen of Abyssal Echoes to desecrate this one and then reveal it on the well. Okay, so we've got 60% increased energy shield. That is awful. We want to reroll. and 59% increased energy shield. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we'll be using Omen of Light to actually remove that one. And yeah, then we'll try to get a rib again. And we'll see what happens. So we didn't hit again. So we'll be trying another time. Okay, amazing. So we finally hit the correct modifiers. And now that we've got all of these steps done, we have one last option. And that is we either sell for profit or we do an optional gamble. Before we sell for profit, what is very, very important is that we do take our armor scrap and we quality this armor up. By the way, this is also something you can do right at the beginning of all of these things, all of these steps. And what you want to do then is you want to get yourself some greater iron runes and put them on your items. And now you can see we have around 100 more energy shield, and that will make a huge difference, which you will see in a bit. So we will be searching for basically this type of energy shield and critical damage bonus, increased effect of socketed items, as well as 2 sockets. And you can see that any of these gloves, you can see these are not even Vaal gloves, go for around 800 divines if we sell them as is. Now, if we had crafted the other type of base, we would probably be at something like 2,000 to maybe 2,500 divines. What I'm going to do is I will take a Vaal orb with an Omen of Corruption, and we will see how I can screw this up. Okay, so let's get an Omen of Corruption. We have already qualityed it. This is the biggest mistake that you can get. And then we will use the Vaal orb and try to hit a 3rd socket, and we've just hit the 3rd socket. The actual price of these gloves with the 3 sockets is around 1,950 divines, I'd say, for these gloves right here. And for the other ones that we didn't hit yet, we'll have to figure something out, but these are 1,950. We'll also sell these ones with critical damage bonus, so I will just sell them for 400 divines, maybe let's say 300. And these ones, yeah, this one also, let's say 200 because this one hit rarity. And these 2 still need to be crafted. And this one is basically a bricked, so we'll also try to sell it for 300 divines. This has been it for these gloves. I hope you can utilize this craft to some extent and you really try to figure out what's the best way on doing it, because I haven't completely perfected it yet. But as you saw from PoEconomics.com, you can see this craft in its full entirety. You can look through all of the steps, and I highly recommend to do that if you really want to get a good impression on how exactly this craft is done. I might even attach some images for each of the steps so it's easier to follow. Thank you very, very much for watching. Special thanks to all of our members. I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.